So hi everybody, we've got Steve on the podcast. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, Steve?
Yeah, sure. My name's Steve. Obviously here in Bali. I'm here for a year at the moment, but I'm from the UK. And what happened over the last couple of years is I travelled around the world quite a lot. Spent some time in Dubai, Singapore and Malaya. Came to Bali, went back to Singapore, came back again. I thought, you know what, I think I rather like it here. So I've stayed here for a while. I've got a small business based in the UK, but it means I can travel anywhere, just me and my laptop. And I'm working basically in digital, websites, digital online presence and all that sort of stuff. So that's me.
You said you travel around a bit. What inspired you to travel?
I've always travelled, right from a very young age, because my family always travelled. So it's something I've always done my whole life. Loads and loads of travel, ships, planes, hiking, anything and everything. So there's not many parts of the world I haven't been to, which is cool, eh?
Yeah. Nice, yeah. Just quite a vague question, but what's one of the best pieces of advice anybody's ever given to you?
Right, best piece of advice I think anybody's ever given to me would probably be have good friends that you trust.
Yeah.
And if they see and say something that they think you should do that's good for you to do, you should do it. And that's quite a tricky one. And friends have done that for me and helped me through my life. Sometimes they said, you know what, I think, this job isn't best for you, Steve, or maybe you should go on a course and do that, or maybe you should do some more meditation, which we do a lot in Bali. So I have this little philosophy that whenever anybody who I'm really close to, particularly my male friends, if they say, do you know what, you ought to do this, and then I go and do it, and they're usually right.
Yeah.
So that's my
So having good friends is definitely good.
And don't let your pride stand in between you and doing something that you're not that comfortable with doing, but you do then go and do it anyway.
Do you think genuine relationships are getting harder to come by nowadays? Because divorce rates have gone up, and then I feel like friends are harder. Good friends that you have for life are harder to come by. Do you think?
Yeah, I do, and I think society causes a lot of problems with that. Parts of the world, people have to work too hard to get enough money to survive. The influence and effect of social media, and I think you're right. But I think people, it's the same with you guys. You're here at school in Bali, and you and your families, I think, are really pushing beyond that problem and making great relationships. I do think it's tougher, and of course we're here in a sort of, you like, a well-being centre here in Bali right now today.
Yeah.
The purpose of that is to pull people in and to say, look, you might be unhappy, you need connection, you need friendships, you need to do some more yoga for your body, your nervous system, but yeah, you need that connection.
Community is very important, I think. So being around people that you like and you love, and that will definitely empower you. But the problem I would say, with our society now is people create friendships and relationships with people that just don't last, and it's more of like 2 weeks or so of just kind of seeing them and then just not really connecting with them properly. I think it's definitely, like, me and Dylan have known each other for 8 months or so, and we kind of just got to know each other gradually instead of telling each other everything about each of us, and then not it really lasting as such, just creating a meaningful relationship and empowering each other to do stuff. Like this podcast that we're doing now, his dad had the idea initially, but then we both gradually expanded on that, and then we did street interviews, and now we're doing this. So it's definitely important to have powerful friends. Anything you want to add?
No, I think community is very important, and what we're building here is definitely it's different from everywhere else in the world. Do you have any experience in what you were saying before? You were saying trust your friends, and do you have any experience like that in that sense that
Yeah.
you've applied that?
Yeah, I've applied it a lot. I mean, part of the reason, literally, why I'm here in Bali, because I built up a friendship back in the UK initially with actually the owner of Samyama, where we are now, in the UK. And he helped me work through some stuff that was tough for me. And I helped him when we were in the UK. We were actually on a men's retreat, was what we were actually doing. And he then said, you know what, it would be great. He said, I've got this centre in Bali. We do some courses. So I then flew here a while later and because he said, why don't you do a silent retreat? I think it would be good for you. It would probably do this and this and this. So I said, okay, I'll come and do it. So I came here and did a 3-day silent retreat. And he was right. It did push me through some new things. Then I travelled, and in the end he said, why don't you come here for a year and we'll just hang out, we'll develop business, we'll have lots of fun. But one of the interesting things, and for me, particularly because I'm a bit older, that was tough, and this was, what Andy and another guy suggested I do, is, we have all these little sort of well-being centres, and they do all this dancing stuff called ecstatic dance. Yeah. So simple little example.
Know that.
They said to me, go ecstatic dancing, we're going, Steve. And I said, I don't want to do that. And they said, yes, you are, you're coming to do ecstatic dancing.
I've done it once.
It's
awful.
But that's sort of beauty of it, is depending when, there's a right time and place in your life, but when things have been tough, and which they were for me, and I had closed in my sense of masculinity, how to relate to women, in the West, partying is dangerous. There's too much drinking. It gets aggressive. But here, the beauty, none of that here. Massive difference. So your well-being, or the possibilities of shifting through things for your well-being, like going to an ecstatic dance when they're very clear, no phones, no drinking. If you want to dance with someone, you have to ask politely. If they say no, you have to walk away.
Yeah.
And then everybody just gets in that. And I was pretty scared the first couple of times, but that was a very simple actual example. And a lot of Western men then become very fearful of that connection. Just in, and every now and then a nice girl will come past, or a couple of dudes, and we'll have some fun. And there's a connection, and then people move to another part of the dance floor.
Yeah, I went once with a friend of ours. It's Lola's dad, you'll know him, but Ollie. He's very big on it, and he's been like, he goes every week, at least twice, and he loves it. And I went once with my mum and his daughter, and we kind of just, it was quite mad. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say I disliked it, but and then again, you kind of have to be a bit older to maybe participate in some of the things they were doing. So it's quite,
it's aimed at a certain audience.
Yeah, no, most definitely. It's quite ecstatic, you could say.
Yeah, it's one of the, there's lots of other things. It's like, the first time you go to a cacao ceremony, and everybody else is getting really deep over this cup, what is in essence just a cup of drinking chocolate.
Yeah, basically.
Thinking, okay, right, what's going down here, and then you listen to a bit more, and then you do a bit of the chanting and the singing, and then of course what happens is, at the end, when you get up and you sort of walk around and speak to people, having a couple of hugs with people, you think, okay. And then they say, we'll see you another time. We're going there. Do you want to come? Or there's a thing next week. Do you want to come to that? Get a ticket. We'll meet you there. And they do. Yeah. So all of these things. And when I compare it to what my life was like back in the UK, say 2-3 years ago, where I couldn't connect with anything like that, then the difference is huge.
Yeah,
absolutely huge.
You need to put yourself out there to expect any relationships or just community, because if you stay at home on your laptop or just don't go to anything interesting and you don't push your boundaries, and even if you're not comfortable with it, it's definitely important, I think, to go out and do stuff that will make you uncomfortable but might build meaningful community, and you might meet some girl, or you might meet some new friends, or it's like, most definitely.
And what you do is you don't build walls around yourself. Yeah. That's what I think is so important.
Yeah, most definitely.
Is leaning into some things, even if they're quite hippie and a bit wacky, as long as they're safe, but you stop building those walls, and so many. I mean, in some of the men's groups that I work with and still do now, some of the men that join those men's groups from the UK or Western Europe or the USA, they could be in their 30s, 40s or 50s, and they can be in a real stick. They've closed themselves right down, and they don't know what to do. They feel lost, lonely, and you've got to sort of, Bali is great for breaking people out, getting people out of that rut that life can take people down.
What's your opinion on people that have probably found themselves but continue to go to every ceremony? They do ayahuasca ceremonies, they drink cacao, they go to all these ceremonies even though they've probably, because I've noticed a lot of, because I'm from Ibiza and there are a lot of ceremonies and there's a lot of kind of the hippie side to the island, and it's an amazing side to it, but then again I know of a lot of people that just won't stop going to ceremonies, and they've probably found themselves, or maybe they haven't, but now their purpose is literally just to go to every ceremony, try every new spiritual drug as you could call it, and they can't ground and connect. Like my mum's done maybe 10, 15 ceremonies or like events and retreats and stuff, and it's amazing, and I definitely recommend to everybody. But there's a lot of people that will go every week's a new ceremony, every week's a new ayahuasca thing. So what do you think about people that just never find themselves and just
I think that's a great question. I think there's a real lot of depth in that question. It's ever so easy with this stuff, one, to become very performative. Some people love all the dressing up, and it becomes, and their ego sort of gets behind that. And the other one is people can become a little bit obsessed with this stuff. But it's no different to any other type of obsession. It could be sitting watching Netflix all day, it could be watching football, it could be in the UK going to the pub every night and drinking 5 beers. So to me the answer is awareness and balance. I do business, I still travel, we go for a weekend to the beach or something. I have business meetings with people and get enjoyment out of that. I'll probably go back to the UK for a couple of weeks, sometime in the summer or whatever. And I think I think what people should do and be aware of, and again, this is where the friend comes in. This is where the trusted, my trusted advisor. Male friends going, mate, you're doing too much of this now. And and I said, no, I love it. They go, no, you're not listening, Steve. You're doing too much. Back off. Because you're using that as a replacement for what you really need to be doing, and you need to be doing a bit of everything.
Oh, I don't really have a question, but my opinion. I think everyone's on their own sort of path, and it's up to whether they've got good relationships, good friendships, on people that can guide them through that. But everyone's different, and if they want to lose themselves in ayahuasca ceremonies and cacao ceremonies, and that's I think that's their choice. But if they don't have the friends to pull them out of that, then there's no one really to back them up or anything. But like you said, it's like having good friendships, good relationships with people.
And maybe some good advice from, you might go to a retreat, and maybe the person who's running the retreat will see that in you, and say, look, part of this is, you're missing. You should consider this more. You should be more diverse in what you do. You should make sure you don't forget your family properly, for example, which some people can do. So always connecting with all of the structure the best you can, and there's no simple way, and nobody's perfect, and life throws you curveballs. So the other great thing with this network is when things do occasionally go wrong, which can happen to anybody, you've got a much safer network of people, and you've got experience. Again, what's such a shame in the West, and particularly you see this with men, is when something goes wrong, there's no, maybe they've got a few friends down the football club or
no community, no friendships,
no depth
meaningful.
of any of that, and so then they might end up drinking too much or just shutting themselves away, and it's a big problem. It's a big problem.
100%.
Yeah.
What was I going to add to that?
It's ultimately about community, and there's some countries that have that, some countries that don't. And is that community what brought you to Bali? Like, I know you said moved here for work and recommendation, but was there definitely
because other people knew and other people were already here
Yeah.
and had come from, say, the UK already. So I've got friends that have been here in Bali quite a lot that are from the UK, and so as soon as I started to say, well, why are you in Bali? Well, of course the answer came out, because there is so much good stuff to connect to in Bali, and compared to where I used to live in the UK, it wasn't there in the UK. You know.
I'm from an island where it's like a lot of partying, and it's expensive as well.
Yeah.
So I got here and I was like, wow, I can get a meal for less than €5. Whereas in Ibiza, I won't get a meal for less than 20. So
Yeah.
it's definitely really easy for kids of our age to get on a Gojek or have a motorbike, and just eat great food, meet great people, go to great events, because it's so diverse, Bali, that you could be on one side surfing, and then the other side you could be going to retreats, and then on the other side you could be partying. So it's definitely a very diverse island with lots of stuff to do, but really fun.
Yeah, and I think we need to treat Bali with respect as well, because I think, and there is this sort of fascinating symbiotic relationship between the Balinese and all the expat communities here, and I think it works pretty well, because the Balinese culture is so kind and generous.
Some countries toss them out on the street.
Yeah.
Some countries aren't very accepting of that.
No, and I think that's, and I, even compared to some other places in Asia, like I went to Malaya and Singapore, great in many ways, but they haven't got some sort of core cultural softness and sort of bringing people in feeling that the Balinese have got. And I think that's one of the things that makes Bali completely unique and great for everybody. Of course, we do get the benefit, and there's a plus and minus side. You're talking about the difference, you know. So my money in the UK, if we're talking a bit about money in pounds sterling, gives me huge spending power here. But what I do is I tend to stay aware of that a little bit, and I'm generous. You know, I'll give a nice tip to people here and making
because
sure.
It's next to nothing here. The economy.
But I think you need to treat that. That's great, but use it to our advantage. But be generous with that difference as well.
Share your wealth,
So a little bit,
goes a long way,
without you know, trying to be flashy either, because I think that then people's egos can do that.
Yeah.
But I think again, it's a sort of real bit of wisdom as how you can be generous and right-minded about that. You've got a bit of spending power in Bali, and then you can you can sort of look at yourself with respect and go, I'm doing the right thing here with.
I always kind of frown upon people that will haggle over 1,000 rupiah, which is, what is it, like 2-3 cents?
Yeah.
Something like that. But it's just, and they're like, can I please have that money back? I mean, you should always leave a relatively generous tip, and most of the time here it is included, but even then it isn't. It's only 5%, maybe 8%. You should always kind of include a bit more.
Always.
Because
what I usually do is even if I go into a little shop and it's like 40,000 IDR, I'll give them a 50,000 and say I don't need the change. And just literally every time I just sort of round up to a round figure. And like you say, it's maybe 20 pence in the UK or something like that, you know.
Because it means so much to them.
Yep.
And it's next to nothing for people like us. And it's,
but I don't want to become across patronising either too.
Exactly.
You've got to keep the fun thing. They know, so it's a respect thing and it's a fun thing.
Don't want to be like flashy.
No, and I think it's part of. I would say to anybody coming to Bali, be mindful and
respectful.
Properly appreciate what you've got that maybe other people haven't, and how you deal with that with respect.
But that probably also applies to most countries, because like now Spain doesn't want any more tourists because they've kind of taken over the country and stuff. But it definitely applies to Bali especially. especially with the amount of waste now that it's producing
Yeah.
because of the foreigners coming in and cultivating the land and building it and stuff. It's definitely, yeah. Ask you another question. Who are 3 people you admire, and why do you admire them? What are the reasons that you admire them?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. 3 people I admire. Well, I can go super large, or I can go sort of local. Super large, one, I mean, I've always been a bit of a science geek, but I think Sir Isaac Newton knocked it out of the park when he was around. You know, all these maths and theories, but some of the mathematics he created, like calculus, is something that's almost one of the most important bits of maths to this day, you know. And he did all his science by the age of 25.
Yeah.
That's what. So Sir Isaac Newton would be one of them. Who else would it be? It would be my friend Andy, who's not here today, but he's here, lives here. He's one of the guys who says you need to go dancing. And I would also say my mother, who is quite an elderly lady now, but she has been amazing and stood by me and supported me. So out of any human being that I've known for the longest and had the deepest relationship with, it's my mum.
Yeah.
So a bit of everything, really.
I think a lot of us can say the same for that.
Yeah.
Parents absolutely
Yeah.
give you advice, nurture you, give you a house, give you food,
Yep.
all these things.
Yeah.
They're the reason you're alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the first place.
But
You said you were into science before with Sir Isaac Newton. Could you expand on that?
Yeah, I was always a bit of a geeky kid at school, loved physics and maths and engineering and all that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, in my earlier career, I ended up as an engineering officer in the Royal Air Force for 22 years in the UK. So everything from being in charge of a squadron of aircraft in terms of their engineering and their flight safety and airworthiness with all the guys working for me. And then lots of project jobs, and I specialised in software, avionics and mission systems.
Wow.
So that was the bulk of my younger career, and then I've sort of kept that electronics, software and business, and always stayed in that path. But the geeky side of stuff, I still love to follow things like Artemis 2, just going around the moon,
Yeah.
and SpaceX, working out how to the most amazing thing probably how to bring those great big rocket stages back down and land again.
All of them.
Yeah,
Chopsticks.
on chopsticks. Yeah, awesome. AI, I think's a really, really big thing.
Oh yeah, AI. What's your take on that?
Well, I think
so complicated.
it's very complicated. It's something that a lot of people are still very cautious of. But once they have more, I think the key with AI is actually using it a lot and using different types of AI and how you can use them all together. And if I would say for anybody that's in any sort of professional process whatsoever, whether they're a businessman or a practitioner or in any business sector really you can name, you need to get on board with studying and using and practicing using AI, but in the way that is not, it's not asking a simple question and I need a draft for an email. Anybody can do
Yeah,
that.
because you've got agents now which
We'll
all
do
these,
that.
Yeah.
The real challenge with AI and what I'm doing is I'm able to increase my power. I can probably do the work of 3 or 4 people now. 1 with agents, but 2 with deep analysis, 3 with using AI, some that do analysis and some that produce websites. And they behave differently. And sometimes I cross-couple, I check what one's doing with another one, I cut and paste prompts and put it in the other one. It goes, oh, that didn't work, but I can see why it didn't work. And then I go back to the first one and fix it. And then it enables me to think, I step back and I go, hang on a minute, why did all of those things do that? And so it's literally like being a commander.
It's like getting everyone's takes on it.
Yeah,
All
getting
these
everyone's takes.
Yeah.
And then stepping back and saying, I can now make a better decision with this group of AI tools. I want to aim for an outcome that's better than something I could have done before. how do I get the AI tools to generate that outcome? That's where the challenge is, and making it a good outcome. Yeah.
It's not quite as sophisticated as a human yet, maybe more intelligent, but not, as we were talking before as we started recording, it's not got the human side to it. It hasn't got the kind of feelings that a human has, you could say.
It can never feel.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, it could feel something, but it can never feel inspiration or any of these qualities that a human could have. So I don't think it could ever truly replace that, unless of course you think differently.
Well, no, I think you're right. I think it can do a good job. It can understand and talk to you about those things, because for some of my clients that are in the wellness sector, we actually do that. So AI can have a reasonable stab at understanding that a bit of text might miss the emotion that's required.
Yes.
So it can, and it's done that by learning that humans need those emotions, but of course it can't. It's never directly feeling
feel
it.
no.
Yeah, it doesn't go away and feels hurt because you said something a bit harsh to it. Of course it doesn't. But
It knows it could take over the world.
well, yeah, like they say that one
wow.
joke, you know,
Yeah.
never be rude to your chat GPT. You don't know when the robots are coming, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of skeptical of that, and I don't know whether that affects anything.
Yeah, 100%. I would also say AI can be a powerful tool, but also a destructive one. So we've kind of got to. I think the notion that it might completely obliterate the world or like something is slightly, maybe not as accurate or super accurate. A bit kind of vague. I don't know how to describe it, but definitely got to watch it because there have already been a few cases where it's kind of escaped the protective
Yeah.
netting that the company has given it.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think there is. Of course, it could create self-will and decide to sort of hop across things. I mean, there's already that. Have you ever heard when AI chats to AI?
Yeah, and
it
they
goes,
have this thing called Gibberspeak or something,
Yeah,
and they
that's
just,
right.
do you want to switch to this language? Oh, no, humans can't understand it.
Yeah, they could be saying anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course, unfortunately, in the world, I mean, geopolitically, the world is in a bit of a mess. So the scary way, if you go down that really scary side, is weapon. Already people using AI
Giving
and weapons.
drones and things like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So, and of course, they will keep developing that as much as they possibly can. So yeah, I think there is a risk.
It's like, I think it's like the space race all over again. You've got to keep developing for fear of the other
Yeah.
side of the, I don't know whether you call it a war or yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got to keep developing higher and higher and higher and higher until eventually one of them.
Yeah, because you
kills
want your
himself off.
drones to be able to outsmart with its AI.
Yeah.
Your enemy's drones that's also
Yeah.
got AI. So you've literally got, it's like the Star Wars movie. You've
Feedback
gone
loop.
you've gone to drone wars. Literally, we've done that in about 5 years.
And it's just evolving faster and faster
Yeah,
and
yeah,
faster.
yeah. I mean, literally now, so that they will be, as well as the aerodynamics or a robot on wheels or whatever, where the focus is going to be is how smart your AI can outwit the other AI. Even perhaps, you know, trying to trick it and fool it. And we're going to go over here, but we're not really, we're going over here. You know, crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit scary.
Yeah, I agree.
Ever read the book His Dark Materials by Philip Pullman?
No, I haven't.
So
Is that
in
good?
that, yeah, it's a really good book. But it was almost like, so the narrative is there are different worlds, different dimensions, and there's like two kids. Well, in the first book there's one kid, and in the second book there's two, but they kind of navigate this. And then there's the church, which you could say could be like the government, which controls everything, or the colleges, or the basically parties, all kind of it controls the world that they live in, and in that they have, I was going to a point, but they have to navigate.
They figure out that there's other dimensions essentially.
Yeah, basically, but I was trying to find a point on that and I've kind of forgotten it now, but it's that we're living in a time where things are advancing so quickly and individuals are getting so powerful that it's like who's making sure that it isn't kind of evolve into something that we can't handle. So
I think that's a great point, but I think you can. There's so many layers where, I mean, the financial markets, one layer, the tech giants, another layer, you know, the politicians that are just going crazy at the moment, another layer, you know.
And then you've also got people that think that there are families or certain individuals that just control all of that.
Yep, all the sort of conspiracy theories everywhere, yeah? Are there aliens in Area 51? You know, the energy sector, the oil industries, which have been very powerful for quite a long time now, you know. What do we do when all the fossil fuel runs out there? That's another interesting question. But anyway, yeah, it's...
Definitely a mad time that we live in.
It's a mad time. It's a mad time.
But it's a little bit uncertain because it could go one way or it could go the other. We just don't really know. I mean, maybe the statistics say one thing, but then maybe other statistics say another thing. It's kind of like you don't really know who to believe, so I would say just stick to your own path.
I think that's one of the advantages of being in Bali in this well-being bubble.
Ignore it all.
Is you see it, but at least we've got something much better. We're not sitting on our own somewhere in the UK or something, you know, just seeing the news all day and got nothing better to do than just sit there
Be sad.
taking all this stuff in.
And especially if you're in the West, it's kind of the cesspit of all the drama, you could say.
Yeah, because it sells clicks, it makes money for all these things.
Yeah.
All the algorithms are just after your money. Yeah, and that's all of the, you know, the Meta ads and the Google ads and, you know, Facebook algorithms. It's just all about money.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Information.
Well, yeah, but it is, and then you can use the information for other things. But you know, it's a dangerous cycle, and everybody's already aware of the dangerous cycle of social media, of course. Whether we'll ever actually be able to stop it, yeah.
But then again, it can be a tool.
It can be.
But
it can be.
People don't use it as a tool.
It's like a knife. You can use it one way
or
you
the
can
other.
use it the other.
Yeah.
Oh, so we've been recording for maybe half an hour already, so maybe we want to wrap up.
Okay.
We don't want to waste your time.
Okay. No, you're not wasting my time. It's been very good.
Sure.
I think, I don't know whether it'll be our final question or not, but taking away from everything that we've talked about today, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to someone else? Yeah.
A piece of advice I would give to someone else.
And just adding on that as well.
Yeah.
Our question originally was, what is one piece of advice you would give to the younger generation, considering that the standard path of kind of colleges, jobs, retirement, school is essentially kind of a broken system. I would say it won't exist as it does today. In maybe the next 10, 20 years, it just won't really work, because even now the unemployment rates aren't going up exactly, but it's just harder to find a job. People can graduate university or come out of university and not instantly get a job. So what is your advice you would give to people that are still following the standard path, which is,
I've got quite a few ideas about that. Excuse me. I think traditionally, certainly in the West, the idea of, you know, school and then university and then into the classic job in the city sort of thing, or was always one thing that served a purpose of its time. I think then universities, again, possibly for financial reasons, then expanded all the arts and the social and studies sort of sectors and all those things, with lots of people going in, but most people not finding a career at the end of it. So I think you're absolutely right. And it's a very difficult answer. I think that schools, I would come partly back to and it's almost like the school you guys are at here at the moment, a school that is much more aware. I mean, you've said that basic thing that, you know, as kids, you know, you guys are older students now, but going through a school process that is aware of this problem. You've not got also that awful thing that we see an awful lot in the West, where you know, at all the various points through that fundamental education problem, the stress level on younger children and older kids and into university for this absolute, you've got to get these grades or you're doomed, and you, by the way, you'll need to undertake a huge loan to get to that point with student loans.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, the amount of emotional pressure that's putting people on is crazy. Crazy.
100%, yeah.
So my advice would be something like this: is if it is right for you, really, if you're a real high flyer and you're aiming to go to Oxford or Cambridge in the UK, obviously, it's obviously are great universities, then by all means really push for that.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, be genuine with yourself. Again, get the advice of your friends going, am I really going to become a fantastic scientist, or am I going to be a good businessman? Or am I going to be good in traveling, or I'm going to just, my life is going to be about people or nature or all these good sort of things. And if so, don't funnel yourself down the blind alley. So I would say support networks, to support each other, whatever your age you're at, to not get pushed into these things that are not later on going to serve you and you're not going to be happy.
I would say that schools now don't really teach skills that are relevant or are going to be used massively. Like, for example, who really needs to know the square root of pi divided by
Whatever,
something
I
else?
agree.
Like, maybe.
Because a calculator can do it. You don't.
Well, also, I think there's another very critical aspect to that. Again, the UK, because I'm from the UK and I know, is it's a political thing as well. As part of the problem with school curriculum in the UK, is that governments that want votes, all right, and people then go, oh, our schools aren't good enough, we need to, so, there's a pressure to create this very traditional academic process, because academia says it's good for us. People's voting, it's much more difficult to have a sort of progressive school in the UK and get your funding and get all these, rather than a school, and they have assessment systems in the UK. How many students get really good exam results? If you get a high number, you're a good school.
Yeah. But
You're
people
judging
may
people
have
on
different skills.
You're
and-
judging people on half a dozen numbers on a sheet of paper because of how many exams they've taken and passed.
Yeah.
And then the school is judged about the stats for their examinations.
And also, to add to that, I think there's a fact where schools were actually made originally for workers, to create good workers for
Right.
big companies.
Yeah.
I think it was the Rockefellers originally that created, or one of the big families, the Rothschilds, and then maybe they basically created these schools to make obedient bees, workers for their hive company thing.
Definitely. Again,
But it's never progressed. It's always
no,
the
and
same.
I think that there was, in a way, the trouble is there were some good aspects to that, because, for example, the concept of apprenticeships disappeared for a long time, where people would not try and aim to go to university when a lot of people it wasn't appropriate for them. They'd leave school at sort of 16 to 18 and go into a properly managed apprenticeship and learn machining skills or engineering skills or service skills, even things like plumbing and electrics. But that all got considered to be beneath everybody, because we weren't going to university and looking good with a fancy hat on a picture at the end of a 3-year university course.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make people happy. Yeah, in lots of debt.
Student
Especially
loans,
in
all that.
American places like that, where like to become a doctor, it's like 200,000, 150,000 or more, depending on what kind of a doctor.
Yeah.
If you want to be a surgeon or something, it's
Yeah.
just, I would say education should be not necessarily free, but not that much.
And I think where people miss the point as well, on a deeper level, is that community living in a lot of places where there is a village life, and you've got a couple of nice shops, you've got a baker, a guy who knows how to bake beautiful bread and cakes, you've got a good plumber, you've got a good garage for car maintenance, you've got all these good people, but everybody then lives in a community, they get married, they have kids, the school's nice, they have cricket in the summer on the village green, and they have a little hospital down the road and all these things. So working and the community, there were times in history, certainly in the West, where it was almost a beautiful thing, but it sort of got broken down.
Yeah.
and it's harder to find that stuff. Which again is in a way why Bali's so beautiful, because if you go out to the little villages in Bali, you'll everybody's laughing. There's tons of music. People help each other, and people are quite content to just do, their employment is quite simple. If you want somebody to build something in your garden in Bali, you can easily get a couple of guys to come up with a wheelbarrow and a spade, and they'll do it for you for not much money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't get that. You can't get stuff done like that in the UK. You can't now. You try and find a good little builder in the UK to come and do some building work on your house.
Paperwork.
And then it's a huge amount, and then they don't do it right.
You've got to know the right people, and most people don't.
Yeah.
Like, my granddad owns a property development company in the UK, and he knows a whole range of builders, and they'll come and do it, and he'll be able to call them up. But most people now will have to go through an agency to get a builder. It's a massive process. It's like any jobs now. Lawyers, really expensive, and then AI will probably take that over. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just quite crazy.
So maybe we've come back full circle. Maybe AI will help in some regards, because lawyers charge a lot of money for a lot of paperwork that AI can pump out in seconds. Yay!
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think. Do you want to add anything else?
No, I'm not that much else now.
Anyway, thank you very much,
You're
Steve,
welcome.
for your time.
Hope I answered your questions
great.
reasonably well.
Thanks very much, man.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Brilliant job.
So yeah,
Okay.
maybe we'll have you on some time.
Yeah, we'll do another stuff.
Rich and famous.
Who's rich and famous? You guys, you could be rich and famous, yeah. I'm just sort of okay, but enjoying. I don't worry too much about money anymore.
Yeah.
I got enough beans to get an air ticket, that's all I need.
All right, thanks, man.
Right, see you guys, well done.